Hello? Hi! Hi guys, it's Witchcat and Alex. Hey. Hi, technical difficulties, that was...
Okay, guys, can't turn my live. There's your live, though.
Hi. Okay, so I don't know what's going on with my phone. But anyway, hi, Witchcat, Alex, Tarot Club Tuesday, and we are doing intuitive reading.
Yeah, so...
tonight.
Okay, so that's kind of like the area that we're focusing on. It's kind of loose. There's not really structure, like I said. But it is for those who keep going to the book or keep going online to look up the meaning of cards. And it's so that you can establish that independence of being able to read those cards intuitively rather than relying on an online source. And so that's kind of the theme of this. But if anybody who does read more intuitively has input, absolutely interrupt, totally take over, and because we're all coming from different places and we all have a lot to learn from each other. So,
Totally.
as I make a mess with the cards. Oh, I'm used to shuffling these.
Hi guys, 3 people watching. I can't see who it is, but thank you for watching.
So yeah, so going around, how long have you been doing tarot for?
I've been dabbling for about 10 years. I've been getting more serious the last couple of years.
Awesome. So you probably have a lot of input for
Well,
us.
I don't know about that. I know I still have a lot to learn.
I think even people who haven't been doing it long, we've heard some very interesting feedback.
Yeah.
Like, how long has, there was Rose who was here. She hasn't been doing it very long, has she? And she's had some of the most eloquent things to say.
Yeah, totally.
And she'll probably end up watching this at some point.
Yeah, she usually...
Hello!
Hi, Stephanie!
And how long have you been doing tarot for?
Well, I haven't... What do you mean by doing tarot?
Practicing, playing with it, looking at it even.
Well, just recently, about 2 years, but it's just been an on and off thing, so I haven't been too serious into it, but, I mean, it's fun, though, and, I wanted to come see what to do here.
But yeah, so...
Sorry to hear that, but you can see us here.
So yeah, so basically what I was going to have us do is separate the cards and organize them out and talk about pretty much how they make us feel and what cards represent to us and just discuss it as a group. And I kind of skipped over you whenever I...
That's
so
okay.
sorry.
No worries.
How long?
I have been looking at tarot for almost 4 years. I've been seriously practicing it for, I would say, it's going to be 4 years in October. So
Nice.
I still have a lot to learn. I'm nowhere near 10 years. I hope to be near 10 years soon. This is my first deck. I've had it for a very long while.
And which one is it?
It is the Mystical Manga.
Mm.
My friend Daniel got it for me. We chose the same deck for each other back in the day. Yeah, it was a fun story.
Hi, Haley.
So yeah, and so pretty much I was just going to have us start with organizing them out. So, separating the majors from the minors. And so this can sometimes take a second for some people, but there is no rush at all.
It's a good exercise.
It is.
I'll add that, I also think that when you're touching the cards, especially when you're organizing them, but even touching them, is giving you that energy, the fact that you're playing with them at all, even if you're not, setting up a whole reading and looking everything up. It's just like you playing with it and connecting with it at all.
And this is kind of what I recommend people do, anytime they get a deck, no matter what, it is a good way to get familiar, even if you already have had your deck for years even. It's kind of a nice little hello and just admiring them in a different way.
Yes, exactly. Wow. That's perfect.
Haley also has the Mystical Manga. So all of our chat bubbles are actually on the side. So we're turning our heads.
Yeah, that's what's going on. Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks,
The
Stephanie.
Mystical Manga is a really good deck in my opinion.
And it does follow some symbolism, but your Fool definitely looks a lot different than the Fool in Rider Waite.
Mm-hmm.
He looks so serious, like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
my god, I want to
Can
from that description. I want to see.
Would you
it.
like to see? Yeah, I actually think I might
Well,
have
we
pulled
could,
him
you know,
Dig
once
that
we're
fool
done.
out
I'll find him and I will love to show you.
whenever he pops up.
Yeah, I like that description.
So, because everybody does have different experience with tarot, so what are some of the strong points that you feel that you have with tarot? Like, what is one of those things that you're super confident that you know, rather than your weak points? I know that's kind of a hard question. Everybody always wants to talk about their weak points, though.
Yeah.
What's your strong points? I guess that is kind of hard. How about you answer it?
Oh, me? Okay. Oh, also, you know, this is Witchcat, Alex, Lightweavers Academy.
Hi.
I
think you said that. In
I
the
think I
beginning.
might have said that.
I think you did.
But I have been studying tarot since I was 12, so it's a really, really long time. Mostly I did kind of intuitive, like I would read the book, but it was more what the card was giving me. And so I read that for a really long time, but I didn't have the Rider-Waite, because I feel like not everyone is going to be drawn to the Rider-Waite imagery, especially like if you're a 12-year-old girl who's really into like fairies in the ocean and magic. Like, you know, this isn't necessarily what's going to click, but it kind of gives you still that interaction with that system and those symbols. So later, and I did oracle decks and tarot decks, but then later on I kind of felt like my readings were getting a little vague and ungrounded, because like there were so many ways things could go. So that's why I started like studying traditional tarot with Mark Wexler, and I've learned a lot, and I really like feel like his system can be a bit like overwhelming, but once it clicks, it's kind of amazing. And so I would say my strong suit is like understanding how the cards kind of like fit together. Like it's arranged like astrologically, and it makes so much more sense to me, rather than trying to see each card individually, seeing how they kind of work together.
We drew it earlier.
So that's my
Can I
strong
ask
point.
you a question?
Yeah.
Then? So when you started at age 12,
Mm-hmm.
were you aware of this deck, and also since maybe you gravitated to something more like fairy-like
Mm-hmm.
or something
Yeah.
like that, did you start with that type of deck?
I did, yes. I started, I tried to get a copy so I could show you guys, but The Goddess Tarot by Chris Waldher. That was my first tarot deck, and it follows actually pretty well, like as far as the pictures go, except for the major arcana, they're all goddesses, so the symbolism isn't really there. It's more just the goddess that represents that card.
Pretty cool.
But then, like, the Seven of Swords, for example, is, like, exactly the same, except that, like, it's an Egyptian woman, because they split up the suits by goddess. So I felt like I definitely had, like, an understanding, because I read that book. So I had, like, that basic understanding, but I just wanted to feel more grounded. I'm a Capricorn. So I think it's really important to have, like, the knowledge to ground you so that you can, like, use your intuition without worrying that you're not like remembering. So that's what works for me.
So for me, I feel like my strong suit is reading them intuitively. I am very much, I very much struggle with sitting down and studying traditionally. I really don't like doing anything traditionally. So I've always been drawn to oracle rather than tarot, but I have found that a lot of oracle decks actually pull a lot of symbolism from Rider-Waite. And it was very vital for me to learn tarot traditionally in order to get closer to that symbolism in those oracle cards, because I do look at that imagery in the cards, and I extract, you know, what I see, what stands out, and it can really pull a reading all together. And having that foundation in the Rider-Waite when going into oracle is really important. So that is how I ended up with tarot.
That's a really good point about oracles drawing from tarot, because you do find a lot of similar, there's a lot of similar, like, symbols that are used, and even, like, the postures of the people sometimes.
Setting out an oracle deck.
So, let's see here. Because, like, there's a really good example in here, and I will eventually find it. This is my deck that I read with here. I am available here for anybody who is looking for readings. I work with the fairies, but this is my deck that is not cooperating with me at the moment because I'm looking for the Lovers. So it very much means very similar to what the Lovers in tarot does. Mm-hmm. And kind of like that, what it was Mark that was like, don't complicate love, love is love.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And this card's very much that way. Don't complicate it, it's love. Unless it's reversed. Then it's non-committal. So it's a little different. But yeah, a lot of tarot and oracle, they do cross paths. And quite a bit.
Yeah, totally.
I don't feel like my mermaid oracle does, though.
I don't think so. I can't think of one that does. I'm trying to think of others because that's.
I have all of these oracle
examples.
decks filled in my bag, and I think that's the only one that I have that happens to. So it's very natural for me to, even whenever I'm reading tarot, even though how I use oracle is I work with the entities that are in the cards and I channel. That is my forte. But I like to do similar with tarot as well. And so that's kind of part of what this particular focus is, which I wrote everything out because I'm scattered and all over the place. Did you have anything to...
The characters do really end up, like, talking to you, though.
They do.
When you work with them. It's more, for me, it's more their expressions. I start kind of seeing their expressions as though I'm looking at someone's face. That might sound strange, but that's how I connect to them. It's like, well, how do they look? What are they feeling?
Mm-hmm. So, so that I can stay on track. I have ADHD. Lists are my thing.
She's an Aries with a Virgo moon, so she's... Yeah.
So, but yeah, so like we were saying, you were talking about their faces, meaning sometimes the cards, they can evoke a reaction, an emotion from you whenever you're in the middle of doing a reading. And it can very much be the key. So I don't know, he looks very stressed to me.
Yes.
He's very stressed. And so it kind of ties in. So if that represents a person in your reading, that could very much mean the person who's going through a struggle.
Yes.
Very simplistically putting. But let's see, where was I at? I mainly made this list for you, Capricorn.
I'm impressed.
Thanks. I think...
Oh, hi, Nick. I don't know why the screen is sideways. I'm probably doing the live wrong. Sorry, guys. Does it want, like, turned around? Yes. Well, no, it's always sideways.
Find my fool.
You're going to try to find your fool? Got it. She lost her fool.
We usually... Well, I was figuring maybe it was, like, upside down.
I think it's just the phone being weird.
Because usually we don't do it like this because nobody can see us, but they can see cards.
I can see cards.
They can see cards.
But yeah, so I was thinking what we were pretty much going to do is kind of go over pretty much, let's see.
Yeah,
what did you want to talk about with, like, reading them intuitively? We talked about,
I was thinking, along the lines of, like, maybe just by each suit.
Yeah,
or,
that's
like,
what I was thinking,
like,
too.
which one gets, like, the most positive reaction from you or the most negative, or which one do you like and which one bothers you for some reason?
I mean, even though it's not exactly from a suit, but more from the major, like, one of those hot topics is the tower.
Right.
How does the tower make you feel?
Yeah. Like, we could split the majors maybe, but, like...
But I feel like symbolism is also just as important as what it evokes in emotion.
Yes.
So there was something really interesting in with the devil the other day. It was actually the other class. Somebody had
I'm
pointed
glad
out,
it fixed it. Thanks.
Somebody had pointed out, and it was actually what you were saying, she still has her crown.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people are very afraid of the tower, and I am not. Because the tower to me feels like it's destroying something old so that you can build something new. And Julia pointed out, the woman, she is still wearing her crown. And that is something that is very vital to it could be very vital to the reading that you're doing. Because sometimes whenever you're looking at a book or going online, it won't talk about those subtle cues. So pay attention to those little tiny things. Like the woman who is still wearing her crown. Although the tower is falling, it is burning. She's still, that crown could represent her fortune. It could represent her dignity. And so it can very much change depending on what that reading is. And so if something stands out, it's important. If it is the, I always view the yellow in the background that seems to be like falling as almost like fiery rain. But, oh, you're holding it up. Thank you. Because clearly I did not keep doing that. But, so what are some cards that really...
Oh, can I?
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to point out, like, with the tower, I always love that, like, he's completely freaking out, and she's just, like, mad. Like, she's just frowning. She's giving him side-eye. Like, and, like, she is, look. And, like, she still has her crown. He has nothing, though, and what I noticed just this time is that he's got all the fire around him, and she doesn't. So I don't actually know kind of what that symbolism represents. I just like it, and I like that I notice it, and I feel like tarot, there's so much that, like, you know, even, like, professional readers, they don't look at it in the certain way that you did. So your own interpretations are really important.
And this is what makes a reading so individualistic and so personal with the person that you are reading for. Because, and like the Fool, for example, if I can find him, oh, thanks. You're so handy. So the Fool, he can look like he is confident embarking on that journey by the cliff that he's about to walk off on could look so much like coins. To me, it always looks like money. He is standing on top of money, and I cannot get that out of my head. And so that could mean something very specific to the person that you are reading for, or it could be his furry companion, who means an ally, who is warning him. It could mean something very, very different. And this is why looking into it deeper intuitively is so important. And these are things that books online, they won't include. Because the person you're reading for, that dog might mean everything. That might be the key to your reading that brings your entire spread together. And it can be super simple. So, ooh, your cards are just so pretty.
They really are.
Yeah, nice.
So do you guys have any experience with reading intuitively?
Kind of like combo. I'm sorry, you started to.
Oh, yeah, but I'm tired. You go.
That is a mood right there.
Honesty is good.
It depends. Like sometimes certain things will pop out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is that. This is about that. I'm pretty good at remembering some of the basics, like from the books.
Yeah.
Okay. Not perfect, but pretty good at some of the basics.
It's good to
and
have
I
that
have
foundation.
a friend who doesn't have that foundation, and she's totally intuitive. So when we read together and combine
fun.
those two things,
Awesome.
I do that with my
that's
friend
powerful.
Luana.
Very nice.
Yeah, that is really awesome. And I would imagine that combining that knowledge together, you guys you find so many parallels from what she's feeling and what you know. And that's kind of like a studying for both of you.
Oh, it is. We both learn stuff, but we both have. It's not that she doesn't have any knowledge or that I don't read intuitively. But it's just that's where she's stronger and the other is where I'm stronger. So combined, it's pretty.
And I bet that kind of encourages you to reach in more intuitively and her to pull from that foundation too. It's kind of like, yeah, you guys are like reading powerhouses.
Together, yes.
Yeah. Oh, there was a, gotta trust, Nick says, gotta trust your intuition. I am Claire recognize, oh my god.
Claire cognizant.
Oh, Claire, oh my gosh, I was trying to switch, what are words? Hello, Mercury retrograde.
I know, right? Yeah. Hello, Mercury retrograde.
It hasn't messed me up too much, just has scrambled my words terribly and has made my computers freeze all the time. That's all it's done, so thank goodness.
Okay. I hope everyone is surviving out there in the tech world.
Mercury's not that bad.
But thank you for the comment.
But, so what were you going to say? And if you were tired, that is totally okay. I, too, am tired.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to go back. We'll start off by saying that I was introduced to tarot more through like YouTube videos. So most of the tarot card readers, they would use the Rider-Waite, and I like it. I like the Rider-Waite images, and I like the deck. But the first deck that I got is called the Fountain, and I find it a little bit more creative and interesting. I like it has clear-cut lines, and so I like the like colorful types. Well, this one, the deck I have now, my friend gave it to me, and she bought it because she wanted to hang it up because she really likes the art of it.
Oh.
So yeah, I like doing intuitive readings more with these types of cards because I feel like with a Rider-Waite, sometimes it can be a little bit just more harsh and to the point, whereas these can be more to the point, direct, yes, but it's so beautiful. Even if the message might hit home and make you feel uncomfortable, you still look at the imagery and see there is beauty in that really gross feeling you might be feeling.
It's kind of a comfort.
Yeah, and I've done more intuitive readings for myself. So I don't have much experience reading cards for others as much.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
that's totally okay.
So I just do it for myself.
I mean, there's a lot of times where having a deck, and I have a deck that is specifically dedicated to me and my healing. And it is for my own growth and my own healing, and and it's actually the fairy blessing cards, and I pretty much have devoted to that. And so they're an oracle deck, not tarot, but because that, like I said, that's my strong suit. That's what I have most background in. But they're fairies that each fairy represents a type of blessing that comes into your life and tells you where you're blocking. And so it kind of helps me live my authentic fairy self and letting in those blessings from the fae.
I love that.
And so, and tarot can do that too. It can tell you where you are having blockages in your life and how to clear them. So like, I am one of those firm believers that you can do a reading for yourself, not other people. You know, some people don't believe that.
Yeah.
I think that's the words I was trying to go for.
Yeah.
Like some people, they refuse to do a reading for themselves. But I feel like that's a way to connect to the cards.
Agreed.
But everybody has a different stance on that.
Yeah, from my experience, when I've done readings for myself for healing, I do feel like I might get certain cards and the vibration of that card, I'll feel it in my body.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and so I like to just put it wherever it's hurting or whatnot, and it just makes it a little bit like, so that feeling or that vibration isn't as strong.
That's a beautiful connection with your cards.
That
a lot of people, I mean, that's kind of what they seek out by studying, is to have that connection, even if you don't necessarily, you can't spout out its textbook definition, but you can feel it inside. I think that's way more important personally.
Yeah, and I did have an experience once. I read this man, and it was a relative of mine, and we were in the same house at that time, and I could feel like a vibration coming from him. So I kind of did do his cards because I wanted to see what was going on and try to help him. And the Nine of Swords came out, and I could feel the vibration from that card so badly. Like it was crazy. So I thought, I'm just gonna put it outside, put it underneath underneath a rock or underneath the dirt to see if it'll heal it, but it was just so strong. I put it outside and I left it there overnight, but I could still feel the vibration from that. It was But it was because that man was a little bit unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
and so that he had a lot of fear inside, and you could feel it in the card.
Yeah. And you've done I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, you've done a lot of magic, a lot of energy work with your deck.
I do a ton of magic with my decks, especially like I can use the astrological associations and incorporate them that way. I can use like the art itself. I use a lot of like Rider-Waite theme decks in my spell work, and I also use oracle cards. She was just talking about, where did it go? Oh, the Nine of Swords. Yeah. This is, I mean, the Nine of Swords can be intimidating, certainly. So it has a feeling.
The one I had, it was the fountain. I'll look up a picture.
Okay.
Or, yeah. Well, my screen is cracked, but I'll show you guys.
I want to say hi, Anna, and hi, Dodie.
It's scary.
And Nick Young asks, any favorite spreads, or do you use Celtic Cross or others primarily? I use, it's a modified Celtic Cross. It's what Mark Wexler teaches. He has a workshop here once a month, by the way, palmistry, astrology, tarot, and numerology. And it's $30 for 4 hours, and it's like every Sunday. I'm usually there because I'm learning amazing stuff. I have to like tell everyone. So I'm using that one. That's a really effective spread. It's pretty much Celtic Cross, but it adds like a surroundings card, which I find really helpful. And also lots of Oracle decks come with their own kind of custom spreads, but I tend to just kind of intuitively do it. That's sort of how you do it, right?
It's pretty much like, for example, you'll know what I'm talking about. Somebody was asking for a reading, and it was basically lining out like a path, and like literally the cards were like placed like a path, like stepping stones, and it was like the direction of time and how that path flows and changes and how it branches off. I've had times where I've done it in a circle, because I work, like I said, I work with fairies, and they often will ask me to put them in circles.
Who's taking you home?
Okay.
Oh, hang on. We're making decisions.
Yeah, we have to make decisions. They're
Okay.
hard.
I mean, you can always talk, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening.
Danny will come back and get you.
I think so, but you can always call him. Find out.
Thank you
Okay.
for your patience.
Thank
right.
you. Oh, hi, Elon. Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Okay, try safe.
Hi, Susan.
Bye, Mom.
Bye, guys.
Oh, because it probably
It
fell.
fell. It's my
Oh,
my
sure.
box is deteriorating because I use them too much. Hi. Are you gonna say yeah?
There we go.
You were on camera. You didn't even wave.
Okay.
Well, don't not hug her. Like, come on.
Kiss on top of the bed.
Aw.
Bye, honey.
Oh, it's good to see you.
We love you. You should come back lots. You want a hug too, since I don't even know you, but you know.
Hello,
I love everybody too. Love, love.
Hugs all around.
Did you call me earlier?
No, I did not.
Oh, someone did, and was just. I said that they'd never done this before.
Do you
and
need a
they're
hug?
all worried, and I'm
Oh.
like,
Oh.
aw, come anyway.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Stephanie
well,
says hi.
Stephanie says hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, Stephanie. Yeah, good.
Somebody else did not get a hug.
Oh, that's sweet, you.
I hugged her.
Oh.
I was the first one.
Oh, never mind.
She's my newest. What do we call you?
Extern.
Extern. Yes. So you guys, because you are associated, you can book with her to get a massage
Oh.
on Friday.
Yeah.
And Thursday and Friday.
Thursday I'm free.
So
Friday
just
sounds good.
just come on in and
All
you know.
right.
Thursday sounds
She's
good.
really good at shiatsu feet. I had a 90-minute shiatsu foot massage. So thank you.
Awesome.
All right, I'm gonna go home.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Susan.
Good night.
Drive safe.
Okay. Thank you guys for waiting. We're like a family business.
Susan
around
would have
here.
hugged you too.
Yes. She would have.
Where were we? We were talking about spreads.
Yes, spreads.
So
All
yeah.
you.
So speaking of so Nick on here, he asked about spreads that we like to do, and how we do, and we started talking about how we do spreads, and I talked about intuitively. Do you guys have any favorite spreads that you do? Like he mentioned the Celtic Cross.
I haven't bothered to learn it very thoroughly.
You know what? I think that might be why I do it intuitively. You do the same thing, so I think pretty much we all just pretty much do it intuitively. What about you?
For the most part.
Yeah.
I don't usually have like a certain spread that I do, unless it's like a really big reading kind of thing. And I have like a very specific question. I like try to find spreads in like books that I own and see which one I resonate with the most at the given time.
So what might sound very weird is sometimes I do the messiest shuffle and see where they land. And leave them in their place and draw the connection with how they have landed. And like literally it's like almost like dropping them as I shuffle, and they'll just splatter everywhere, and then I just start making the connections.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
That's awesome, actually.
Shuffle cards.
I feel like that's probably even more effective than like the past, present, future. Like that's generally like a
that's like a three
fallback kind of reading.
Yeah,
like it's okay.
Practice.
It's good for practice and for getting a grasp. It doesn't always give you like the detailed answers that you need necessarily. It's very basic. It's like a basic reading, so it's good in the beginning.
I've done like a monthly reading where I'll do like, let's say June, the month of June, I'll get 4 cards for the first week, the second, the third, the fourth week. And then sometimes I'll add the theme card, which might be, once I get the 4 cards out, it might just be the card that ends up at the bottom of the deck. So that's one I've done.
I was reading something, I forget where I read this, but they were talking about, doing your shuffle and laying out your cards, and that person said sometimes it's fun to look at the bottom card on the deck to see what the reading is not about.
That is an awesome way of putting that, because
I love that.
Because how we have done it has been the card on the bottom is like the basically the alternate outcome.
Oh,
yeah.
Instead of what it's not about. But I like that.
It's totally fun. I remember one time doing it. I forget what the reading was, but the card that came up on the bottom was something so far out. It's like, okay, it's really not about that.
That's a really nice clarifier.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Elon asked a kind of off-topic-y question,
Elon
but
asked
totally
if I belong to a coven. I don't belong to a coven. I was Wiccan for a long time. I'm kind of like eccentric witch, pagan, spiritual person. So yeah, I do practice witchcraft, mostly just like modern, traditional kind of my own. It's really just intuitive magic. I do tons of intuitive magic. And hi Kevin, and hi Judith. Oh, from Australia. Cool. Hi. Nice to have you.
What time is it there?
What time is it there?
Yeah.
She'll answer.
And as far as I know, nobody asked me if I was part of a coven. I don't know. Maybe that question was for me too. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
But I am also not a part of a coven. I say it, cousin. Mercury, stop. Okay, so yeah, no, I'm not part of a coven. I practice solitary. I am eclectic pagan as well. I don't follow rules very well. I don't like rules. I do what I want.
No one rules. I agree with that, but she's a fairy, so no one beats her on rule breaking.
But have heard your first deck should find you rather than be purchased? Is there a common etiquette? It all depends, and this kind of goes over the history of tarot.
To me, this feels like okay. So she's asking. He's asking, have you heard your first deck should find you rather than be purchased? Is there a common etiquette? That really depends on how you feel about it. My brother Evan, he was under the impression that he could only use decks that were bought for him, in general. So some people feel really strongly about this, and that's okay, because that just means that their energy is meshing with that. That's the way they want to energetically interact with tarot, and that's fine.
Because it's all an individualistic thing. Just like intuition, it is so individual. Your relationship with your deck is yours and yours alone. It doesn't matter. If we think about I bet that came from the history of tarot used to be given as gifts.
Yes.
They were handmade. No two decks were alike, and they were given as gifts. But whenever printing came about, they became more common, and people had access to them, and that tradition began to fall away. But it was actually given to newlyweds a long time ago. So obviously, we don't save tarot decks for newlyweds anymore.
We should do that. We need to do that.
We should. So it's so there's a lot of things about that tradition that have changed, and it also depends on where you are and your culture, because there are little tiny things and superstitions, if you will. But I feel like we've gone so far from from wedding gifts and whatever else that it kind of is just make your own rules. What resonates with you is what is right.
Yeah.
If the deck that is calling to you says, hey, you need to purchase me now.
Yeah.
I mean, who am I to argue?
Yeah, if I would say that, if you find one and you really resonate with it, then, like, you probably should get it even. I mean, like, don't, like, think, like, you really want to get it and you feel like you should, but you feel like it's, like, the right thing to do to wait or not purchase it, I would do, like, what you feel, not, like, what you feel like you have to do or should do.
I had a deck that actually kept coming to me in dreams, telling me that I needed to buy it.
Wow.
I kept having, that was the mermaids.
Yeah.
They were just like, I was dreaming about mermaids. I was dreaming about the mermaid deck. I was working, and I just kept having these, like, I was just trying to stock shelves, at my other job. And, I kept getting these very intense visions that were just like, it was as if I was in a lucid dream, but I wasn't. It was such a weird out of body but in my body experience. I kept just seeing the deck and seeing the mermaids, and I was like, okay, that's it. I have to buy them. And I did.
Yes.
And they have bonded with me very much and continue to talk to me in dreams. And I bought them.
So if that happens, you might want to buy the deck.
You might. Don't piss off mermaids.
Never, ever.
Or fairies.
So Judith says it's 12:43. It's lunchtime and bloody cold and wet. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, because it's winter there. That's right. Judith asks, have you ever made your own tarot deck, and how do you start? Color or black and white? Oh, Kevin says thank you. That vibes well. Okay, I'm glad. Awesome.
Oh, what kind of art do you do?
So, I mean, you can make your own personally. There are like places online that will print you personalized tarot decks. It's not cheap, but it's not like hundreds of dollars either. How do you start? Black and white would obviously be easier. Color, you could do, like, there are places you can do tarot, you can do oracle. But I personally have never made my own. I don't know if you have maybe something like that.
I've not. I've always wanted to, though.
Oh, you know what, Stephanie? That's really funny. Stephanie says, I was drawn to the mermaid deck as soon as I saw it sitting on the desk at Lightweavers. I've always been contacted to mermaids. That was literally the deck I bought for myself. Like, I try to not buy decks because I don't want to, like, abuse the privilege, right? And I'd ordered that when it was sitting on the desk, and I was, like, working the register, and she saw it, and, like, she's like, I have to buy this. And, like, I'm like, it's not my time, it's her time, it's okay.
Is this the one?
Yeah, I remember. It was wrapped and everything still, so I'm like, where's yours? Anyway, please continue.
But yeah, where were we?
Oh, have you ever made your own deck? But also,
I love how fun and derailed this has gotten. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yes, that's awesome.
I hope everybody else is too. But yeah. So you don't do that kind of artwork?
I'm not really into drawing. I do mosaics primarily. Right now, I'm almost finished with one that's the Tarot Aces, though.
Oh, lovely.
Almost done with that. That'll be interesting when
it's done. So what if, you know what would be really neat is if you had gotten like a photograph of your mosaic and everything and had that image printed into your own personalized, because you could still make a deck.
That would take a long time.
Yeah, but it would be your energy. Mm-hmm. I think it would be wonderful. I hope one day you do it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you guys have? Never thought about making my own deck. That sounds cool, though. It does.
Yeah.
You could also go to a shop or something.
So do you guys So now that we have talked about strong suits and so on, and definitely you and your friend definitely sounds like a strong suit working together. So what about weak points? Where do you feel your weak points in tarot are?
Wait, did you say your strong points?
I'm more of a watcher.
Okay.
No, you're not. I like to think that I'm getting better at intuitive reading. I haven't been using the book very much. That's kind of about all. I didn't think of what to say, so that's kind of all I have to say.
That's okay, then that's enough.
Yeah, okay.
Did you say your strong point? Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. We can do weak points if you want.
Weak point time.
No, I have to think of that.
I think trusting yourself.
Yeah, that's probably true. I really don't trust myself because sometimes I'll get things intuitively and they sound kind of odd when they come out of my mouth, but that's actually the best because that's when it's just the information is like coming through you and it's more pure that way. So, but it's hard sometimes to be trusting and get yourself into the right state. And I find I kind of struggle sometimes when there's not a whole lot of emotion in the card. That's one of the reasons, like, I love reading the original symbolism. Well, that one has emotion to me.
He looks like he's bland.
Well, see, she thinks he looks bland. Oh, I touched your card. I'm evil. Oops. We don't touch Alex's cards.
I will put it in your hair.
Okay. Don't lose it. But, like, she sees this one as kind of bland, and I used to think
kind
that.
of, like, nonchalant. He's like, okay.
Yeah, but, like,
the fish is more expressive. But that's okay. I love the little fish.
I just love this card because it's associated with Pisces, and, like, I have, like, repeated dreams where I'm taking care of this magical fish. It's
I love that.
And I hold it in beautiful. An orb. It's golden, and it's really beautiful. So this one makes me think of that all the time. So now I like it, but she has a point. Like, there's not... Yeah, the fish tells you a lot, but there's not a lot in the face.
What do you see?
So...
I was just agreeing. He seems kind of...
Yeah, and, like, this guy's okay. Like, this, I wouldn't understand him as much, but I kind of get it. Like, now it's like he's got it. Like, he's balanced. He's, like, not worried about anything. But sometimes I also struggle with the ones, like, the Ace of Wands, it should be, like, obvious, but sometimes I want things to mean more than they do. Like Mark, the sixes, the lovers, those are love, like, period. But sometimes I'm like, I want more information, and, so the aces can be kind of hard to read sometimes, just because I think I rely a lot on the scenes themselves, and the people in them, and kind of the emotional reaction to them, because I don't get as much of a reaction. To say, like, one of the aces or even a court card, because for some reason the court cards tend to not have as much expression. Like, I can read it, but it's not jumping out at me. It's like they're just sitting there staring into space. So it's hard to kind of put make a story out of that sometimes, even though there are a lot of symbols that my intuition doesn't go as quickly as I'd like with that, but I'm working on it.
Oh my gosh, I have to show you something. It was so funny.
Yes, Stephanie.
This is tarot related, I swear. I'm not showing funny pictures of cats. That'll come later.
Yeah, that would be tragic, Alex. The worst thing imaginable.
So, my friend did a really random for fun reading for me. Because I couldn't find... What was it I got?
The
Did you
page
take
there.
my card?
It came
Did
from
I?
my deck.
You did. Slightly different. Oh, interesting. They're not supposed to be slightly different.
So a friend of mine, she was doing a reading on where I put my shirt in my apartment. I don't know, I didn't ask her to, but she was like, that's it, I'm going to do a reading. And so this was it. She got 7 of Cups and a Knight of Swords, and it was all about imagery. My room is a mess. The 7 of Cups, there is an item in each cup. None of them really relate to each other. It's just kind of random. Very much like my room. The energy in 7 of Cups is very much like my room. And then here's the Knight of Swords charging forward. Look in all the places. All the random places. And so it was a very simplistic meaning, but it literally painted an exact scene as he charged forward to find the shirt in all of the things. And then here the man is staring at all of the cups like, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. And that was exactly how I felt. And she was like, well, you need to be the Knight of Swords and charge forward and pull all of your junk out and you'll find it. And you know what? I found it in my chair that was completely buried with random objects. You have seen my chair. It was underneath all of that. And so I think that's that was a really good example of cards painting a scene. And I think that is my most favorite reading anybody has ever done for me. As simple and silly as it was, it resonated with my soul.
So, did you want to show that Nine of Swords?
I also found my Fool, by the way.
Oh yeah,
I
let's
want to see that.
do that comparison.
Talk about that.
Yeah.
It was in here, actually.
He was just acting foolish.
It was acting foolish. It did not want to be found.
Here's that.
Yeah,
You got that little thingy.
So,
that's
farther than a
really
cliff,
affecting.
There is a path. So,
That's a really, really intense Nine of Swords.
Ooh, that is intense.
Too bad. Yeah, do you mind if I
Sure.
show it off?
is it okay
But
if I
it's
zoom
a
that?
broken
Okay.
screen.
Yeah, sorry, you can't see it all that well, but like you don't have to. That's just the emotion is crazy strong.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It kind of makes me, ooh.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one I had to put outside, bury
That's
it. But it
one
was.
for the card.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine the vibrations of this card.
Yeah.
It gives off the
I can
energy
feel
of
them.
the
I can
nine.
feel them through the phone.
I'm just kind of like,
Exactly.
no thank you.
And that's the card from the first deck that I bought, the Fountain, and I just find it so you can get so much
I would have,
from it.
honestly, after that experience, I would have been like, oh, we're going to have to throw out the whole card and replace it.
That's true.
I would have been like, throw that out.
So, we were looking at the Fool card.
Yeah, we were looking at your Fool.
Yeah. I like the dog.
I got distracted by, I'm touching.
Magician.
Yeah, the dog is
I
generally
always get distracted by this
representing
one.
like your spirit guide.
It looks like Pam.
In a reading I did, it was a literal dog once.
I love it.
So, I mean, sometimes you do just get those like really literal answers.
Probably weirdly one of my
I like the rays
favorite
coming
cards in
off
your
the
deck,
moon.
which is really weird.
That's fascinating. Hold on, guys. Wow. Yeah, this is such a different interpretation of the Fool.
Like instead of a cliff, there's a path.
Yeah.
So lightness is a little bit more like of a murky card almost.
Yeah. It's definitely more murky.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
You could also, like, just like the Fool in the Rider-Waite, he is oblivious of the risk that he's about to make, like, you know, going onto this journey almost. He's almost about to fall off a cliff. Well, while this Fool, he could almost be so cocky that he is naive. He is blind.
I think it's interesting that you could have a reading with, you could do the same reading with the same cards from different decks would have a slightly different meaning.
Yeah.
You know, so that,
Yes.
I just think that would be, I just think that's interesting.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about themed decks is that you build on the symbolism, but if it's a theme that speaks to you, then that can give you a lot more information. Like being familiar, even just with the artwork, even if it's just the artwork itself that's speaking to you. Like, never be embarrassed if you buy a deck because it's pretty. Like, that means the artwork speaks to you.
So.
That's a good thing. So in this, you know, you can get a little more out of the Fool. You get him kind of more like as a jester, and the dog like is more. The dog seems more worried about him than say like in this one where he's just. He's a bit more like enthusiastic in this one.
I see that dog as worried.
This dog is concerned.
This one, I see it.
You see it as worried?
He's yapping at him. Don't fall off. Don't fall off. Hey, listen to me. Listen to me. He's desperately trying to get his attention.
That's yeah, that's not the way I read it, but that's okay. That's the point.
Yeah, but it depends on the reading too.
Yeah, exactly.
And the reader.
Yeah.
Because this one, I really love the moon, the rays from the moon.
Do you want to see the
rays
deck?
are beautiful.
Yeah, if I can.
Danny says he's the dog. Hi. Of course you are.
Sorry.
She's holding a stave and everything, which is nice.
There you go.
But yeah, he doesn't have the rose in this one. There's just... One day we should just do tons of comparisons of, like, different decks to see all the changes.
Is that you?
What's the exercise at this time?
You're exercising.
I am exercising my brain.
Her deck's over there.
This is hers.
That full card does not want to stay with my deck.
Oh, it's the deck is over there. Okay, I'm like, wait a minute. We were talking about spreads, like, really briefly. Like, a lot of Oracle cards have spreads. Like, this is really cool. This is, like, one of the Mermaid Cycles of the Moon spread, and you do it based on the cycles of the moon and what they mean. So you would do, like, the new moon would be kind of like, what are you letting go of? And the waxing would be like, what are you beginning? And the full moon would be like, your, like, high tide of power. The waxing moon would be like, what is leaving your life on its way out? So you can combine, you know, a lot of different... For spreads, you can have them themed as something else, and that can add an entire new layer to your readings.
And speaking of moon phases...
Oh, you have the Queen of the Moon Oracle.
Oh, however, this person was wondering about the manga tarot.
Oh, yeah, the
name of it.
Oh, the mystical manga.
Mystical manga. Manga.
Mystical manga by Barbara Moore, and all of her stuff is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. She also has like kitchen witch tarot, stuff like that.
She's got some cute little quirkies.
Yeah, she has really cute ones.
Yeah. So anyway, that was just an example spread. So
I'm not so sure I could ever work with the mystical manga because I don't know. It's my hopeless tragedy of being attracted to anime characters. I get a crush on them all. I am not normal.
it's just powerless against anime crushes.
I know.
It's okay. Oh, if you were asking about the spread, that's from the Mermaid Oracle by Lucy Cavendish. I wasn't quite sure.
Oh,
If you
either way.
Either way.
Yeah, well, we were talking about strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
So, what do you feel your weakness might be?
Just one.
Huh?
I was joking, just one.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. Well, I mean, if you want to say multiple.
Yeah.
I feel like I need one thing that I'm looking forward to learning more. One thing I'm looking forward to getting better at is reading the story in a spread.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like I have a decent grasp on a very, very basic meaning of each card, but sometimes I can put it all together and it's just right there and it clicks, and other times I still have trouble with that.
So, just a suggestion, and it might need some definite tweaking, or you can scrap the idea altogether. So you know how I was talking about the spread I had done that kind of showed the path of the person? Mm-hmm. So if you maybe were to set up the spread very literally, like stepping stones, like you start here and then you go here, and it literally, like, not quite a timeline, and then at the very end, your destination, and doing spreads like that, I wonder if that would kind of help you connecting them. And
Sometimes there's one that we practice a lot. It's 5 cards in a row, mm-hmm. and it's past influence, present influence, major influence, advice, and mm-hmm. Outcome if advice is followed. And sometimes it's really obvious. You can see the progression and like a linear story, and then other times it's just not as obvious. So it's just something to practice.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think that's probably common for a lot of people. I mean, I feel like that's kind of harder than, learning over, like, the history of the cards, or even intuitively. That can be a definite hang-up.
Yeah.
Seeing the relationships between
and
the cards.
Yeah.
I wonder if just knowing, like, getting more and more familiar and digging deeper into the story that follows the major arcana, mm-hmm. because it follows a story. Mm-hmm. And speaking of Barbara Moore, that book that I like to talk about,
Your Tarot, Your Way.
Your Tarot, Your Way.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a good book, because she talks about it in a story sequence, and she actually writes it out like it's a story, mm-hmm. in parts of it, and examines and kind of like dissects the cards and their meanings, but also shows you in a story setting. And so she has a very interesting way of teaching, and I like the book because it's not oversimplified, but it's very simplistic, so it's easy to absorb the information. So I would say maybe look into Your Tarot Your Way.
Yes,
We
that's a
never
good
call
one.
it by the right name until today.
I'm pretty sure it's Your Tarot Your Way.
I am pretty sure because I was looking over it again today.
Oh, good. Yeah. So
It's one of my in my personal collection.
So we did have a copy.
No, we did.
Oh, good. We also have like Madame Palmita's Magical Tarot is also a good one. She starts you in the minor arcana, but it's set up that it's kind of like a journey through all of the cards.
Oh, okay.
So it's like you imagine the scene, she kind of puts you there. I am responding really well to it. It's deepening my knowledge of the cards. We have a copy, so I mean, if you
say the name again.
It's Madame Pamita. Madame Pamita's Magical Tarot.
That sounds familiar. I might have read.
I'm interested.
You know what? I should get a copy.
It's a good book. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, we have some out there. It's got a yellow cover.
Sorry for being silly.
No, silly is good. Silly is fine. So working on the story, I think even like professional readers sometimes struggle with this, like putting it all together. I think Alex had good advice about just kind of maybe letting it just be more like fluid and freeform. Because like sometimes the spreads can help because they give you like a more pinpoint accuracy, but sometimes things just get kind of muddled when you're like, because if you don't think a card, a certain card really fits with that spread, or like they seem to contradict each other, like that's the kind of stuff that made me not like want to read tarot professionally, because it felt like just like it was mired, and I wanted it to be a bit more straightforward. And the only way I can seeing the obviously the major arcana follow a story arc, but the minor arcana do too, to an extent, at least like as far as numerology goes. But the way I learned it,
do.
yeah, the way I learned it on the Goddess Tarot by Chris Wilder, I kind of understood it as each one being the seasons, and I'm a witch, so I earth, air, fire, water, and the suits that I connect to that. So she kind of had it be like pentacles were first, I believe, and that was the ground, and then swords were fire, and that's like the seed you plant, is like that little seed of inspiration, and then water is when you water it, and then swords are when you harvest and cut it down. So that's like the swords are kind of a harsher suit maybe, but that's because it's what you are getting rid of so that you are harvest again when you go back to the sign of earth.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so that helped me.
It shows timeline in a way.
Yeah, and to an extent, it's seasonal. It's like a whole year seasonally. So that kind of helped me get a better grasp of them. Just overall, I like having a good grasp of the overall picture.
Yeah, no, that sounds really good.
I like that. I have actually never heard of that.
Oh, cool.
So I thank you.
Sure, you're welcome. I'll bring that deck and actually try to order it, and they were out. But I'll bring that in and I'll show you guys.
But yeah,
Somebody else.
Did you talk about of your tarot weaknesses?
I think it's just a lack of confidence at this point.
That's a serious issue. I've had that issue a lot.
Yeah, so basically a lot of the times I do intuitive, so I'll try not to think about the confidence thing. I'll just see what comes out.
Yeah.
And it's a good reading, but I wish I could be like a little bit more in tune with the cards and with myself.
it'll come with time and also building your own intuition. But I mean, it does take time and your own confidence, and sometimes it can be deeper than just your connection to the cards. Sometimes it can be something very personal in your life too that's causing that disconnect, causing you to doubt yourself. It's more than just it might be more than, not saying it is, like it definitely is. It can be very much more. Like you've had the struggle, like we talked about, and even though you had been doing it since you were 12. Yes. There were other confidence issues. I'm not gonna air out all your dirty laundry.
It's okay.
And you're just like,
I don't mind. I'm open.
But and so that kind of affected how she connected to the cards too. And whereas me, that didn't really feel like an issue, but there was a different reason. it was kind of like, you know how we were talking, I was just kind of like, screw rules. So if somebody told me I couldn't do something, I out of rebellion did it. And I grew up in a religious household where I was told that this stuff was horrible and I would become possessed if I did it. I did it anyways. And so it's just like, so, you know, what people told me and how I viewed myself was, I ended up, you know, it was kind of like a more defiant. So I went into it with a different type of confidence. Even though you had gone into it your entire life being encouraged, you have that confidence issue, but that was stemming from somewhere else.
Yes.
And it was just kind of trickling its way into how you read and your confidence in yourself. So it was more personal.
I was, yeah, that's a really good point, because I was really lucky to be encouraged spiritually as a child. Like, I went to church a few times, but just like, you know, with friends, but mostly I was pagan, and my mom is an awesome person, and she bought her 12-year-old daughter, like, a tarot deck. Like, the fact that she would, like, even spend that money on me, like, it makes me really happy. And so that's one of the reasons I love, like, I do the tarot and book ordering here. I love doing that because I know how important just, like, that one deck can be to somebody. And so even though I connected with them really well, and I felt like I had really personal relationships with all of my decks, but I had other issues kind of like trickling in, like my spirituality was supported, but I still felt really like, just really like not confident. And then I ended up, I did start reading professionally, but like I said, I kind of felt like I was getting more kind of vague readings, and that was more my energy. I'll even admit that I had a bad reading, and somebody said the reading was bogus. And he's like, I thought your mother said you were intuitive, is what he said. And
you know what? I bet you that reading actually ended up coming true, and he felt like a fool.
I won't say I hope so. But
I hope so.
You can say it for me. So, I mean, I know that's a little personal, but like, people struggle, even people who read professionally. It's like, you struggle with your own confidence, and I started reading here, and it's like, you know, we have like readers who have been doing this for like 30 years, and I'm like, well, how am I gonna, like, how can I compete with that? Like, I don't have all that knowledge. Thank you.
But you're amazing. And that's the thing. Like, and yes, you've been doing it for 30 years, but the thing is, you've also been doing it for a long time, and it's not really a matter of the span of time, but what you individualistically bring to the table. Because you have, not only are you intuitive, but you have that empathy. You connect with people. You love people. And your desire, whenever you go into a reading with somebody, is to help them feel better. You want to heal them. And that's your big thing. So, and while I believe that's very true of the other readers here, and it is myself as well, because like I said, I'm also a reader here. You know, everybody approaches it differently. My focus is I want to heal people, but also get them connected to nature and fairies. That's not exactly your deal.
Not exactly what I do.
So you have a very valid thing that you do here, and I have a different thing that is also valid. I mean, introducing people to fairies is very valid.
Yeah, that's very important.
Until they steal your keys.
Right.
I'm sorry in advance to anybody whose keys were stolen by my fairies. But so anyways, so I went on a rant there.
But I guess like my point is that like it's, you know, it's hard for a lot of people, and it's like if you never start, then you're never going to start.
But the thing is, and I think
you have to always start somewhere,
because you're using it for healing. I'm sorry, what was that?
I was checking. I said I got my keys.
Oh, good.
I love most excellent.
Sure.
Yeah, sometimes my fairy friends can sometimes get a little playful.
They stole my full card earlier. I know it.
Yeah, that's
there are a lot of fairies in this place, anyways. So, but the thing is, like, as you try to heal yourself with your cards, you're going to deepen your bond too. And as you are healing yourself with your own cards, you will begin to trust them more. You will have a different type of insight. It will deepen your relationship, and how you read will be so impacted in a good way from that. So that's why I believe in reading for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Sense.
You've been quiet over there. So do you have any input? Oh, I can't speak.
I don't at the moment.
Okay. I don't know how much.
I don't know if this was like noticed, but on the chariot, I can't pronounce things.
Chariot.
This is like kind of a theoretical. Do you see that? It's like this one's kind of frowning and this one's kind of like more.
Yeah, and
they do have different expressions.
they do. One looks angry, the other one looks happy, kind of confident. Also, depending on the deck, I mean, you also have these two here. These, like, one is black, one is white, can kind of talk about going two different paths, even. It's very divided. The card is very divided. So, it is interesting.
Oh, thank you.
That's totally fascinating.
I was, like, trying to hide the one side and, like, look at the other. It's like,
Yeah,
light and playful, and then, whoop.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It harkens kind of back to this one, too, because they're both basically ruled by the moon. Mm-hmm. So you have her,
and
like, her crown of Hathor, with the, and then, like, there's also, like, crescent moons on the chariot. I don't know how much time we have. I don't know if we want to do, like, the...
yeah.
Like, let me see.
It's 8:16. I don't, honestly, I should know what time class stops. I know that we've always rolled over on time.
We stop probably at 8:30.
Okay.
But, so we have a little bit of time, so, I mean, whatever you guys want to do, we can, discuss more things. If you want, we could look, at least, like, in the major arcana, like, what card you have which card you like and which card you don't, or just, like, which one you have the best.
That's originally what I was gonna do, and then I lost that.
I think we have time to do that. Just the one that gets the best reaction from you, or the most positive, and then the most negative reaction from you. And we can do it too.
Okay.
Why not?
So let's see here.
I'm gonna just check your chariot clock.
Okay. No problem. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Probably Wheel of Fortune.
Really?
Wheel of Fortune.
Or
one that makes me feel uncomfy.
it's
you got your.
That's an interesting choice.
It's like, where will it stop? Nobody knows.
Well, I feel I don't know what to make of it. There's a whole lot going on here, and I mean, I can like recite the textbook definition, you know, that it's about, you know, things are in motion, but.
Well, as far as I know about the card, I know that it's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter controls luck. And I mean, generally, like, especially in astrology, Jupiter is...
Tonight.
Yes,
Sorry.
luck be a lady tonight. Absolutely. And I mean, generally, Jupiter is kind of seen as giver of gifts. So it's not really necessarily a bad thing, but that's the whole point of the wheel. It could go in either way. And I know that, like, I have no idea what that weird little demon thing is, or the blue lady with the sword, Sphinx person. All I know is that in the four corners, those are the four fixed astrological signs. You have a Scorpio and Aquarius at the top, and you have Leo and Taurus at the bottom, and they're all reading, which is good. So knowledge. I will eventually know in depth, like, what they all mean, because that's what I'm studying, but I don't quite yet. And it is just kind of a strange.
This one probably also makes me feel weird.
The Hierophant. That makes sense.
Yeah, I don't understand him either.
Yeah.
Although I did read something that I did read something that I really liked. So the Hierophant, his job, according to, I forget where I got this, is to make esoteric knowledge available, or to make it understandable.
Yes.
But it just looks so authoritarian.
That's
it
what
really
I don't like
does.
about it.
That's why I don't like the
It's all
Emperor.
about like tradition.
He looks too authoritarian for me. But yeah, I mean, he's talked about, like, as the bridge maker, between, like, heaven and earth. And so, I mean, that could be it depends. Like, that could be a terrible thing, and it could be, like, not really getting that energy of spirit across properly. But it can also be, I love, like, in the Everyday Witch Oracle, for example, the Hierophant is like a meditation teacher. I love it. So, like, it can mean different things, like, nowadays, because we have spirituality is more free, even when this was made.
Oh yeah, this image is 100 years old.
Yeah.
I think I really like the Empress.
Yeah, the Empress is nice.
I like the High Priestess.
Yeah.
Well, but I also like the Fool, and it's hard to choose. But yeah, if I can reduce it to 2, it's probably the Empress as well as the Fool.
I love the High Priestess. She's who I pick. Because I want to be her. Knowing all the secrets, but not necessarily revealing them in the most, like, obvious ways. It's great. So do either of you have a negative card?
What's your negative card?
I got the 9 of Swords for my negative card, and for my positive card, I got the Star and the Ace of Cups.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think those are really common ones to be.
Yeah.
Finding.
Well, with the deck I have, I like a lot of them. So.
What about ones you don't?
Yeah, is there anyone
That makes you go, yikes.
Or that maybe you just find confusing.
yeah.
You know, that's good. I like that.
Well, I like the death card, but also sometimes I feel like, well, that's not enough. Okay, you die, but something else. So
It's a transformation card.
yeah,
Yeah.
I see that.
Transformation is so in depth. In depth. What are words?
I don't know. I have
Oh
no
my
idea.
goodness.
Ask Mercury, he invented them. According to some traditions. Yeah. But yeah, the death card is Scorpio. It's transformation, so it's like you don't really know like what happens afterwards. It's just like death. It's a mystery. You don't know what's gonna happen or who you're gonna be, but it can be an adventure.
That's true.
It can definitely reincarnating is quite the adventure.
Yep. You decided to do it again, so must be fun, right?
And in my particular belief, we get to choose what exactly that adventure is.
Choose your own adventure lives.
I sure hope that I choose much better next time.
This was your first time in the human realm. You're like rolling the dice a little.
Ew.
You.
Fortune. Wheel of Fortune. Ew.
I will take it away. Oh, thanks, Stephanie. She says karma got him.
Oh yeah,
That
about the guy who
Probably.
gave the reading to.
Probably. I'm okay with that. So the 9 of Swords is, I don't know that anybody likes that card.
I think I even mentioned it in my notes. Whenever I said we should all pull and talk about feelings and how 9 of Swords is often the card that makes people most uncomfortable. Whenever we do this little club meetup, I lost the words for it. People often pull that one. They often are just like, this is the one I don't like. This is the one
that
makes
went over like the 10 of Swords? The 10 of Swords
The
is more scary, I think. Or overtly scary.
Yeah,
Or people are afraid of the devil.
Yeah, I can totally agree with the 10 of Swords. That's...
I mean, that's pretty.
I might get this wrong, but I mean, I read that like in the original notes for this, the idea was that was like a red cape of honor, and he wasn't like actually stabbed. I'm not exactly sure how that works out, but that's one of the interpretations. Like when the deck was first being like printed.
So one little spin on it. So because they are people in the cards, and we tend to personify them, even view them as ourselves whenever they represent us, and that's often how we view it as, this represents a person clearly. Well, maybe that man doesn't represent a person.
Mm-mm.
Maybe he's a concept, an idea. Maybe you've pinpointed him. Maybe you've pinned your target down. That project you've been working on, nailed it. Very simplistic, but I've had that come up in readings.
One reader, her books, I absolutely love her take on stuff. When she describes it as whatever it is, it's over. Okay, it's like really over. It's done. And she says, now while you know, so if it's a situation that you're involved in, she's like, you know, if you've just been, you know, run over like this, more or less, she says you might just need to like settle down and have a little nap while you're out there, but while you're there, take a breath and recover, but it's over. It's like really over. So I was doing a reading for a friend who had been through chemotherapy, and this card came up. And she just looked at it really horrified. And I started giggling, and I'm pretty sure she thought I had lost it. And I just said, it's over.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Over.
I just got chills.
Ooh, yeah, me too. Well, that's I love that you were able to, you know, help her that way with the tarot, because tarot can be really healing.
And, well, she wasn't feeling all that good when she first saw it.
No, but I mean, it helped you at least, and it shows that like your own interpretations of the tarot are really what matter.
It kind of reminds me of an experience I had with the Starstream Oracle when the Isis card came and there is no death. That one was very blunt, but it was actually over a medical situation, and I pulled the card and it was so blunt, and she just looked so fierce. I left it in there.
Yeah, I saw
I brought you back the deck because clearly it doesn't want me, because if you can't find that book, then it's not for me.
I don't know that. I think maybe I just am not good at finding things sometimes.
I don't know.
Okay.
We've been playing hot potato with a deck lately.
Okay.
So I don't know. See if the book shows up.
It might attract the book to it. It's retrograde,
Maybe.
so it might just turn up. That's the thing about retrograde. Things you haven't found, like that you forgot you lost, turn up. So I mean, there are like tiny little perks. Mm-hmm. So I think that we're probably close to ending.
Yeah, we've actually got only a few minutes. So did you guys have any questions? No, this is the wrong noise? Okay. So
yeah, I'm sorry we didn't get to like all to our favorites necessarily, but
next time.
Yeah.
So is there any input that you guys had, that something that we could have gone over better, something that you would like to see another time? No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take that as we did okay.
Yay! All right. Awesome. I'm so glad.
Oof!
I know.
The majors threw it.
They're jumpy majors.
They're just like, hi, how you
doing? Stephanie says exactly. Yes, they turn up out of nowhere. Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I know I was kind of lax with the lives lately, but I'm gonna try to do more soon. I might do like a witchcraft one if somebody wants, if people got serious about that. But this is us signing off. Thank you for watching Tarot Club Tuesday. We'll be back in 2 weeks. All right, bye guys.
Bye.